it's all about living. The talk is about living longer, and some people go, oh, do I have to? It's not about that. It's about how vibrant we live and having the energy and things to do what we want. And there's some really good information out there, and when I tell you some bits and pieces on the slides today, I really want to get across to you that there are thousands upon thousands and thousands of studies. So it's not as though there's one or two or three. When I talk about osteoporosis, and I will tell you that the single best food for osteoporosis, I'll repeat this every day because I actually don't want to see any more prunes left on the breakfast food table or bench. The single best food in the world for osteoporosis is, what is it? Prunes. There are 22 double-blind, placebo-controlled studies on that. So it's not as though they're going around poking in the eye to make them double-blind. These are the best type of studies. They're done on humans. And all of them outperform every other single food in the world by many, many times. So please, what are you going to do tomorrow? Eat? Yes. I'm getting up early, just in case I run out. I should have said that before they got to Kiwi land or something like that. So I'm going to show you, I only highlight that because there are studies and studies and studies. And that's what I'm passionate about, bringing those studies together. And today is about the 3 principles or the 3 key strategies for overcoming illness. How to build a better, healthier, more vibrant life. How to reduce your incidence of chronic illness. Now, we're all still going to get the flus and the viruses. We're on a cruise ship, okay? We're all going to get those. Anyone who's got grandchildren, that's why they have grandchildren. They're to share them or share all the viruses around schools and things like that. And we're all going to get those, but it's how hard they knock you out that is a big important factor in there too. And I cannot say you're not going to get ill or you're not going to prevent all these illnesses, but the great thing is you can reduce the chances, and that's what science is about, reducing the risk. And here are 3 diseases everybody is worried about. Osteoporosis, 80% of women over in the postmenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal era will have osteoporosis. You know the good news about that one though? Is 50% of people who have falls and fractures don't have osteoporosis, and the other 50% do. Funny, isn't it? And then we've got hypertension. Everyone's worried about high blood pressure. Already in my last lecture, I put up the hypertension the blood pressure smoothie, something that you can do to reduce your blood pressure. Literally, you may not be able to get the smoothie and the ingredients all mixed in, but you can get most of the ingredients on board right at the moment. E.g., beetroot is one of the best ones. So little hints along the way. And of course, arthritis. And arthritis and osteoporosis, in a sense, go hand in hand. In fact, they all are linked together. And the unfortunate thing about this is a lot of people go, why me? Why me? Well, first of all, 100 years ago, we only lived to about 60 years of age, 70 years of age, at the most. We still had people living to 104 and 110, but the vast majority of us only live younger. So we're, in a sense, we're almost designed to wear out a little bit. And unfortunately, living in the 21st century, we tend to wear out a lot faster because of some of the things that we're doing to ourselves. Not last week, not last year, but for what we've been doing to ourselves for the last 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 4 years. And people get cancer and they go, oh, why me? Why me? Well, it's because we are living a lifestyle that, in a sense, promotes it. Please feel free to take a photo of any video or any slide I've got up here. I'm more than welcome to share my information, absolutely free to people. And we have things like this. Males now have a chance of 47% of developing cancer. Females only slightly less. Why males? Well, there are certain characteristics and things that males do. I'm sure you can imagine. 4 times as likely to have thyroid cancer. All of these cancers. I put this up not to go, oh no, poor me. I put it up there to say, well, there are things that we can do to slow this, to stop this, to reduce the risk. That's the great thing about it. If we start making the right type of choices, life is about the choices we make. It's not about the information we have, it's what we put in our life. And if we start to make the right type of choices, we can have a big impact. And when we get down to the bottom there, you'll see children are 6 times more likely to suffer from childhood leukemia. Why? They're not getting old, because there are certain things in their lives that are increasing that risk. And that's why I do what I do, because I want to encourage people, I want to understand it, get people to understand it, and take steps straight away with your kids, with your grandkids, and even your great-grandkids. By 2050, as many as 80% of males will get cancer. It's going up. Why? Because of what we're doing. Already in America, the age expectancy has started to go down. It used to be 81, 82, it's now 79, and it's probably going to go down back to 70 because of the lifestyles. We're about 10 or 15 years behind that norm. So what does that mean? If you came to my last lecture, I put these up in nearly all of my lectures. These are the two most famous mice outside of Mickey and Minnie Mouse. These are agouti mice. A particular mice that are susceptible to certain health conditions. So they breed the mice to be more susceptible. These two are genetically identical. Genetically identical. And the little brown one, by the way, is the skinny one, healthy one. That's the one that will live a normal mouse life of 5 years. And the other one will live up to 3 years. It'll have a heart attack, stroke, metabolic syndrome, or develop cancer. Why? It's not genetics, because they're identical genetically. What is it? It's the mouse's lifestyle. So which mouse do you want to be? Which mouse? And the great thing about all of this is we can make a choice. We can actually make a choice right now to follow a certain path. And are you actually going to become a 60-year-old very healthy person? No, because you're probably already over that age anyway. But what you can do is reduce the risk of all these conditions. And for me, even more importantly, is getting that information to my family and my grandkids and the other people around me too, sharing it. In fact, all diseases are rooted, are linked in, are based in biochemistry. Every single disease you get, heart attack, stroke, hypertension, all of those conditions, metabolic syndrome, diabetes 1, diabetes 2, it doesn't matter, psoriasis, eczema, Alzheimer's. Did you just forget that already? I was going to say psoriasis again, that's me showing my Alzheimer's age there. And so all of these are linked in with biochemistry. They now see and can understand a lot of the biochemistry. And what's great in this is I go to the journals and they say, wow, they've now found something that you can actually sniff that helps repair the damage done that causes Alzheimer's. I just can't remember what it is. It is rosemary essential oil. Who bought rosemary essential oil on? I did. Who's going to get some? Do I sell it? No. Why am I telling you? Because a study showed that it can actually repair the damage, the biochemical damage done in the brain as a result of, Alzheimer's, the damage we do. So these studies are around, you just have to search for them. And so all our biochemistry is based in our nutrition and our lifestyle. So if we want to reduce our illness, what we need to do is get to the root cause, our nutrition and our lifestyle. And over the next couple of days, I'm going to be expanding on this and going deeper into it so that you can all walk away knowing, here's one or two things extra I can do. And the great thing about this is there is no one solution. If somebody's trying to sell you one solution, they're usually trying to sell you a product. Is that right? Yeah, I'm not trying to sell you a product, I'm trying to sell you information here. Information that's freely available. And as a result of this, if we can change and just make little choices, right? Little things every day and add on those little things, we can make a big difference. Now the other aspect is illness. We often get ill and we go, oh no, poor me, I've got a headache. Well, stop hitting your head against the wall. The illness is often telling you that something is wrong before it gets more serious. You see, I had a friend a long time ago, probably only one that I've ever had. And this friend, he went to the doctors and the doctor said, oh, put a bit of weight on, you're pre-diabetic. And he said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll be diabetic. But it's okay, don't worry, you're fine at the moment. So he kept doing what he was doing, and then about a year later, went back to the doctors and he was diabetic. Do you get the idea? Because if you continue to do the thing that got you to that bad point, it's going to get worse and only worse. So what we need to do is reverse it. He finally turned around and said, hold on, do you mean to say what's going to happen? Well, we'll have to, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and these are the predictions. And he said, what if I? And he started walking, and he started changing his diet. He had 2 big dogs, and he started walking, literally, a year or so going back to the doctor said, you're no longer pre-diabetic, you're no longer diabetic. What? You can reverse it? Of course you can. But you have to give the body the ingredients and the mechanism to be able to do all that. So your body has this ability to re-heal, just as it is to get sick. And there's one simple aspect about all this, is your body can do one good thing at a time. If you're sick, and you get a virus, and you just happen to be on a cruise ship, where do you want to be? Apart from home. You want to be in bed, laying down, being looked after, being pampered, and if you're a male, being told, it's okay, love, don't worry, you'll get over it. It's just a male complaint. That's one of the options. Your body can do one thing at a time really well. If it's sick, it wants to heal. It doesn't want you to walk around the ship. It doesn't want you to eat big foods. You're not hungry. You're not really even a bit thirsty sometimes. But you've got all these things your body's saying, just stop, just lay down. Let me sweat it out. Let me perspire. Let me get all these. That's what your body's doing. Now the same thing happens at night time. Here's a little hint. Don't ever eat at night time. Because guess when your immune system is most functioning? When your immune system is working the most? At night time. And so if you're had a big meal about 10 o'clock, have you noticed how everyone eats really late now? Except seniors? Back home you have to rush to get to the table before 5 o'clock. At home, we go into a normal routine. But the young people are all eating 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And it's crazy because their body is digesting all that food at night and it's not working on the immune system, because guess where your immune system is located? In your digestive system. It can only do one thing at a time. If you go to the gym, it shuts down your immune system. Well, only for that hour, and then it builds it up. Your body can do one thing at a time. I'm going to keep coming back to this idea. So if we've got that, it diverts all the resources to that one thing. So what we want to do is divert all our resources to our immune system. So we want all the things that are going to boost it. Now the 3 key areas, the 3 factors that are linked with every single form of chronic illness, and even acute illnesses like viruses and so on, is this. It's a famous pyramid. Well, it's famous in my world because I've been teaching it for the last 20 years at the university level and at our talks around the countries. There are 3 conditions. Inflammation, which is your body literally on fire, heating up. And we need inflammation, I'll talk about that. Oxidation and acidosis. Every single one of these diseases and every other disease that you can imagine and think of is linked with these 3 conditions. So what does that mean? What if we could lower oxidation? That's the free radicals. You've heard of free radicals, haven't you? In the 60s, it was the people who campaigned at universities. Nowadays, it's the molecules that kind of burn your insides out. What about if we could lower acidosis? And I'll explain that in a moment. And what if we can, and that's what's great. And usually by lowering one, we lower the other ones because they're all linked together. Write down thyroid conditions, allergies, mental illness, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, asthma, anxiety. They all go hand in hand and they're all, one way or another, linked together through these 3 conditions. And what's great is if we can start on one, we start on all of them. By lowering our risk, by lowering any one of these, we lower our risk. And I'll show you that in a moment. But I probably haven't convinced you yet that all the diseases are linked. I just said that. But I can go back into any of the studies and say, okay, what other conditions are linked with, for example, cardiovascular disease. So if you've got hypertension, you're more likely to have an autoimmune disease, atopic dermatitis, that's on your skin, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, gout, metabolic syndrome, mental health, cancer, and you're more likely to die younger as well, as a result of everything. These are all linked together.
How are they all linked together? Inflammation, oxidation, acidosis. Inflammation, oxidation, acidosis. We go to another one. Comorbidities mean what are the other diseases that are linked with it. So if you've got metabolic syndrome, let's say diabetes type 2, or just spiking of the blood sugar level, which is the worst part of diabetes type 2, or linked in with that. You're also more likely to have mental health disorders and autism in kids, also in adults, by the way. They've got depression is associated with heart attacks, strokes, obesity, cancer, cognitive impairment, depression, all of those aspects. They're bi-directional, they're all linked. And the unfortunate thing about our scientists and our medical system is they will often focus on one thing. They'll focus on hypertension. You've got hypertension, so I'm going to give you this. This is what will lower the blood pressure, but it doesn't lower any of the others. In fact, it may even increase it. So what we want to do is find stuff that gets to the core, gets to the root of all of these conditions. And here is my second most famous pyramids. This is the basically saying, if we can lower inflammation, oxidation, acidosis, where there's lots of illness and lots of symptoms, we all want to get rid of those symptoms, don't we? Whether we wake up itchy, or whether we wake up and we're feeling fatigued or run down, or whether we've got any of these health conditions, we want to get rid of them, we want to lower them. Well, all we need to do is go on an anti-inflammatory diet, increase the alkalinity in our diet, and anti-oxidation. We need to put in some foods that are antioxidants. Very, very simple. You've heard of those terms, antioxidants. And again, the great thing on these cruise, the great thing here right at the moment is there are lots of foods with antioxidants. Did I tell you prunes are very good high in antioxidants? So we've got all these other foods out there, the fruit, the nuts, the veggies, all of those things, and I'll touch on some of those as we go through it. So if we go from the big one to the little one, we've got less symptoms, and everybody here, put your hand up if you want to wake up in more pain, more symptoms, more chronic illness, and be told you've got to go on more medication. Anybody here want that? No. What we want to do is have less and less of that. And so, one of the many terms that's been coined is something called inflamm illness. And there was a Russian biologist in 1907, Elie Metchenkov, and he said that there is something in the gut, a chemical in the gut, not in the belly, the outside part, but in the gut, leading to an increase in inflammation around the body and causing all those aging illnesses, causing the fatigue, the tiredness, the diabetes. In those days, the extremely rare cases of Alzheimer's disease. He recognized that the gut, and everybody here has now heard about the gut, haven't you? In fact, it's one of our next talks as well, to go into it in a lot more depth with you. And he said that, hold on, the gut is probably the single biggest cause of this inflammation or inflamm illness, inflammation coming from illness. Then we've got extra weight, particularly around the belly, where it shouldn't be. We've got lifestyle and stress, inactivity. Inactivity increases inflammation. Activity actually, believe it or not, increases inflammation, but then goes down. So when you're running on the treadmill, when you're pushing some weights up in the gym, it's actually increasing inflammation, but then in the medium and long term, it decreases it. So it's got a short term and then a long term really good win. And then you've got stress, the biggest killer. I can see you're all stressed here already. You're saying, why did I come to this talk? He's stressing me out because I want to get these concepts across. And stress is a huge killer out there. And so if we can find some simple strategies, like maybe sitting on the deck somewhere in the sun with a good cup of, well, we'll work out what drink we can have later, okay? And then, of course, diet, which is a core, a key feature of all of this. But it's not just diet. It's about all of these things that come together and work hand in hand. Now, this was literally front page of Time magazine when Time was a magazine. You know the old days where you used to get Time every week or something? I think it was 1996 or something, or 1998, around about then. It was front page. And it said, this is the end of all illness. We now know that inflammation, this is their diagram. Inflammation is the cornerstone, saying exactly what I'm saying, except I've given you 2 more features. So you can always believe Time magazine at least, can't you? And you can check that up if it's still available there. It's linked with cancer, heart, cardiovascular, Alzheimer's, diabetes, arthritis, autoimmune, neurological, pulmonary, and many, many more. Every single illness. That's how convinced they were to put it on the front page and call it the end of all illness. And they thought all of a sudden what we're going to do is everyone's going to read this and go out and everyone will be anti-inflammatory. They go on an anti-inflammatory diet. Has anyone heard of an anti-inflammatory diet? No? None of you? Okay, well you would have heard of it, you're now hearing of it, because it's also linked with the other conditions. So that's what science was saying literally, what, 30 years ago. It's pretty amazing. So what are the symptoms of inflammation? Does that sound like me in the morning? Waking up a bit tired, a bit stiff, you've got allergies, asthma, elevated blood pressure, fluctuations in blood sugar level, going up. So you have a meal, it goes up. You have water, it goes up. Have you noticed sometimes it just seems to go up for the sake of it? That's inflammation. Gut issues, constipation, diarrhea, but also IBS, IBD, you've all heard of those conditions, celiac disease, all of those conditions. And as I've already said, by the way, I've got to talk specifically on resolving gut issues coming up. Because when I've sat at a table and people have said, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm a gut guy, health guru type thing. And people have said, oh, can you fix my reflux? Can you fix my, I've got this, I've got that. And I think, taken on average, I think 75% of the people here probably have some gut issues that they want help with. So make sure you come, because we can. Some of them are really simple. You've got fatigue, aches, pain, and soreness, and all of these conditions. And then we've got another thing called inflammaging. As we get age, inflammation just seems to go up, and they don't know exactly why. They don't know why. It's probably because, ladies, your estrogen goes down a little bit. Well, it drops down quite a lot. Gentlemen, it's probably because your testosterone goes down a little bit. Well, it probably drops down a lot. Those are the 2 things that we know drop down, but also lots of the other things in your body start to go down too. You've got an enzyme in your cells called coenzyme Q10, CoQ10. You can buy it at a health food store. And that goes down as we age. So we see some of these things going down, and as a result, we have more of this inflammaging. And as a result, we need to understand the gut, the extra weight, the lifestyle stresses to change that, to bring it back up, to alter it. Now this is out of hundreds and hundreds of studies. A group of people, a group of scientists, because they've got nothing else to do, created what's called the Dietary Inflammatory Index. Now it's not available to you per se. It is if you go on the scientific journal research. If you've got a scientific background, you can find it and follow it through quite easily. But they've listed down a whole heap of these foods that are anti-inflammatory and inflammatory. Now I've just listed the ones up here that are the bottom, 10 or so, that are anti-inflammatory that you will come across and you will understand and know. They had other ones called catechins and a whole raft of names, but these are the ones I selected just so you could see them. And the minus, you see they're all minuses, and the minus is saying this is anti-inflammatory. If it gets to 0, it's neutral, and if it gets to 2.7, like vegetable oils, do you get that hint? Vegetable oils, not olive oil, vegetable oils, sunflower, safflower, rapeseed, all of those ones. All of those ones are pro-inflammatory, and they're inflammatory 2.6 and 2.5 and 2.4, and all these are anti-inflammatory. So you look down that list and say, well, what can I add in? Well, you probably don't have your vitamin E and vitamin C yet, but when you land in Melbourne, I'm sure you'll all get there. Omega-3, anyone here bought some fish oils on the cruise? Ah, yes, good. 3 grams. I'll touch about that today, okay? Vitamin D, 2 sources of vitamin D, and the best source is the sun. So let's get out there and have a little bit of sunlight. I think it's the first day that we've actually got a little bit of sunlight. So make sure you get out there and get some sunlight. I come from Perth, and apparently it's been 38 and 37 and 40 in Perth. Maybe a bit too much sunshine. We go down ginger, ask for a little bit of ginger. Some magnesium in green tea. Maybe the first, have a look at how powerful green tea is. It's 0.5. It's right down near the bottom, right down the top ones. So add some green tea in. And fibre. I actually wrote this little script and I did a whole video just on the secret, the single best supplement everyone can have. And guess what it is? Fibre. And you know what? It's cheap. You can go to Woolies. Countdown. Is that what it's called? Countdown or Woolies. And you can get a mixed fibre mat. And that's not the best one. And the other one with a yellow label or an orange label and it's got lots of food additives in, I don't like recommending that one. But there are even better ones out there. And all it is mixtures of fibres. And they're right down the bottom. And the bottom one is turmeric. Wow. By the way, up the top, you could put onions too. They're probably about 2 or 3, minus 0.2, 0.3. And you can get garlic and onions and chives and those type of things and add them into your soup too. Very antiviral as well, which comes in handy. So there's a little bit of a mix. So the scientists have all of these foods that they're listed down, which are anti-inflammatory, but most of you know which ones are already. You already know when you look at the food, it jumps up and down and says, I'm anti-inflammatory. Or it jumps up and you say, I want you and I'm inflammatory. And they're the ones that you tend to, we tend to overeat a little bit of. So the second condition is called acidosis. Now this is very, very important because acidosis is not an acidic stomach. It's very, very different. Acidosis is when your body's pH. Everyone here has heard of pH, haven't they? The alkali acid base level, 0 to 14. Drano is at about 12. Sodium bicarbonate about 8. Your drinking water 7, right in the middle. And you've got hydrochloric acid in your stomach at 1. Very, very acidic. But the stomach acid is very different from acidosis is when your body's chemistry is out of balance. And I learned this in year 10 chemistry, or year 10 science. That was a long time ago. And my teacher said to me, everything in chemistry relies on the pH. If it goes up a little bit, it speeds up or shuts down. If it goes down a little bit, it speeds up or shuts down. And I now understand how it affects us. So our body has to keep it perfectly in balance. And unfortunately, we're having a lot of foods that are acidic, e.g. sugar and white breads and white processed foods, cakes, and I should stand by those stalls during dinner, shouldn't I? Saying, did you know this is acidosis for me? Yeah, I think I'd be kicked off anyway, we won't go there. But the message is that all of these are leading to a form or the development of acidosis in the body. And that means our body biochemistry, and as a result of it, the great thing is there are some really simple strategies to balance it. But your digestive system, and again we'll go into that in a few days, your gut, your stomach has to have acid. If it doesn't have acid and you're putting in, I'm putting this in and putting that in to stop the acid forming so I got reflux, it's not digesting anymore. And that's very different. But I'll touch on that. So what we've got here is we have to keep our acid balance perfect as much as we can. And the great thing is, all your functions need to rely on that. Now, acidosis, the body's natural process. We produce acids every time we burn up, when we walk, when we exercise. But our body gets rid of it. One of the quickest ways our body gets rid of it is by breathing deeply and fast. So if you've been running, producing a lot of lactic acid, which causes the muscles to get sore, then you breathe it out. And when you breathe it out, you're giving carbonic acid, carbon dioxide, off. And so it's lowering your acid level. Wow! So one of the simple strategies everybody tells you is breathe more. By the way, I never tell anyone to hold your breath. It will kill you. But what you want to do is breathe more, breathe deeper, breathe. Especially if you are out in the middle of the ocean, the cleanest air in the world, literally. And breathe that in. That helps rebalance the body's pH just a little bit. But there are other super fantastic things you can do with diet, lifestyle, and environment that can do it as well. What does acidosis lead to? Calcification of your arteries. And most medical professions don't understand this principle. Acid, base, salt. The calcification of your arteries is the salt forming on the inside of your arteries as a result of acidosis. So if we can keep our blood in that perfect balance in our body, and then we've got a decrease in bone density, gout. When I start talking about gout, people listen because there's a lot of pain involved in gout, isn't there? And people have contacted me and said, wow, how do I get rid of it? This is it. And they said, well, within a week they're able to get rid of gout. And they understand how to make sure, and it's not caused by wheat beer. And it's not caused by eating tomatoes or potatoes. It's caused by an imbalance in the gut. Microbiome. Again, we'll come to that. Then you've got stones, kidney stones, gallstones. What? You can actually reverse them? Yes, of course you can. Because they're formed because an acid and a base formed a crystal, a salt crystal. Those stones are salt crystals. So if we want to get rid of those salt crystals, what we want to do is increase our alkalinity to dissolve them again. And then we've got brain fog. Anyone have that sometimes when you're feeling a little bit down and tired, your brain just can't think and function? Well, that's acidosis. That happens, by the way, with athletes too. If they've been running a lot, doing a marathon, they'll get to the end and they'll go, where am I? What am I doing? They don't even know. They don't even remember the last 5 kilometers of that marathon. Because they've got lactic acid going up to the brain. Or if you've got a bloating gut, you've probably got something called D-lactate that goes up to your brain and causes brain fog. Or maybe you just got it because you're in a state of acidosis. Now the great thing about this is it's a really simple therapy. This is what your parents used to do. Does anyone remember what your parents used to do? And they used to have, parents used to have bicarb? Yeah, anyone? Anyone still do? Yeah, we've got about half a dozen, maybe more. And we've got a few people, yeah, anyone? Okay, so we've got some people here. Bicarb therapy, it lowers your acidosis. Now, here is my favorite scientific bit of equipment. It's called pH paper. And you can buy this online for $6 for 100. Really, really cheap. Go to Google. Order it now and you pick it up in Melbourne or wherever you're going through. And all this will tell you the pH of your saliva or your urine. And that tells you how close you are to developing, or if you've got acidosis or not. It's a simple test. The dentists used to take it because they said that's what was causing tooth decay. And it is linked with tooth decay. Acidosis is linked with tooth decay. And so you can get that online for $5 or $10 for $12 for 2 or something like that, and do a simple test. And there's the guidelines I'll put up there. So if you want to do something with it, or ask your GP, but they won't necessarily understand the implications of it. And so what do you do? Well, if you find that you're in an acidic form, you take 1/5 of a teaspoon, a little smidge, just a little bit, first thing in the morning before you wake up. Now you're probably saying, how do I do it before I wake up? You know that time you wake up, what are you doing? Where am I? Okay, down again. Okay, off I go, back to bed. And that type of thing, okay? Half an hour before any food, or an hour even better. Never ever have it with food. But some people say, but I take that every day when I get reflux. That's the wrong way to fix reflux. The right way to fix reflux is come to my gut talk so I can tell you about it. You don't use sodium bicarbonate. It does the exact opposite of what your body needs. but it's great for alkalizing your body, and you just go get Dingle brand sodium bicarbonate. Dr. Dingle brand? No, you haven't seen it before? In that case, just go to the supermarket and get Mackenzie's. And $2 will buy you enough for at least a year for the family. It's such a simple, cheap, cost-effective way to just let your body alkalize a little bit. But do the test first. Check it out first. And it's a simple procedure. I put something up on my YouTube, and it's the most watched video because it is such a simple strategy on how to test and how to do it. And the number of people who have come back and said, hey, I can't believe the difference. My brain fog has disappeared. I actually have more energy. I'm not as fatigued. Wow, my blood sugar level is actually coming back down to normal. Just by offering it here? Hold on. And all of these other conditions, people are coming back and saying the difference is chalk and cheese. And it probably is 0.001 of a cent mixed in with a little bit of water to do that. Now you can also, by the way, drink some mineral water during the day, but make sure it's a pH of 8. Not all mineral waters, you have to check them out. I don't know, there's too much variation in the mineral waters, but a good one. And always away from food. Always, please. So oxidation, the third state. These are the conditions that literally oxidation and the free radicals in your body all contribute to. Asbestosis, everybody's heard of. Emphysema, lung cancer, all of those. Why? Because smoking causes lung cancer. And heart attacks and strokes. By the way, I wrote the paper which led to, this is my one bit of boasting, which led to tobacco smoke being banned in Western Australian clubs and pubs, which was the first one in Australia to get rid of the smoking. Now 99% of you are saying, well done. And there's one person saying, you bugger. But what was interesting, it took 10 years to go around Australia before all of the states. The last one was New South Wales. Let me tell you about politics. So anyway, we've got all of these conditions, contact dermatitis, muscular, all of these and the others, and they're linked in with oxidation. So what we want to do is lower the oxidation and increase the antioxidants. So what are some of the anti-inflammatory, antioxidant alkalizing agents? This is what's so good, it's so simple. Healthy digestion. Digestion is the driver and linked with every single form of illness. So what we want to do is get our digestion right. Raw, have a little bit of raw. You don't have to, just have a little bit of salad on your cruise. Then you've got probiotics. An absolute must as we get over about 10 years of age. And I think we've all hit that. I believe it's an absolute must. Prebiotics and fibre. These are the things that feed the gut bacteria, and they're even cheaper, and they should be a part. Water, lots of water. Omega-3s, herbs, minerals, zinc, selenium, and magnesium. Then you've got the good oils. I've already mentioned some of these, but omega-3 fish oils. Please. The World Health Organization suggests that you should be consuming about 3 grams a day. You probably consume half a gram. If you have a piece of fish upstairs or with your meal, you probably get 1 gram a day. So you're not getting enough, and that's linked with all of these conditions. Then you've got your olive oil and macadamia oil. Fantastic. Add olive oil. Extra virgin, locally grown olive oil. And we grow it all throughout the country. Get some good extra virgin coloured olive oil. The bigger the taste, coconut oil, because it's got what's called MCT in it. Brilliant. Nut oils, not peanut or cashew. They're great foods, peanuts and cashews, but not the oils from them. So have peanuts and cashews. Oh, by the way, have lots of nuts out there, walnuts and all those other bits and pieces out there on the breakfast bar. And here's another one that shows up, green tea. Remember how it was anti-inflammatory, it's antioxidative, and it's anti-acidosis. So green tea. Takes 30 minutes to start getting into your blood, and it peaks. They've done hundreds and hundreds, I'd say thousands of studies on the benefits of green tea. And they constantly come back from everything from diabetes 2 to prevention of even diabetes 1, right through to prevention of cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, you name it. Just having some green tea. Now, if you don't like it, just grin and bear it. Just, hey, come on, it's worth it. But also black tea too. So the message is add a little bit extra in there. And then you've got, that one doesn't come through very well, but there's K fibre, which is, as far as I'm concerned, I must tell you, I have a vested interest. I own 0.001% of the company. In other words, if you buy something, I don't get any real benefit from it at all. But it is the single best fibre. It's actually a prebiotic that feeds the gut bacteria all the way around the gut. And the great thing is I have some free samples up here for the people who are up the front. And the message is, it's anti-inflammatory, anti-oxidative, it's anti-acidosis, and it helps repair the gut. By the way, is one sample going to make a difference? Not really, but it's not going to hurt. And a turmeric cocktail. Turmeric, absolutely brilliant. Turmeric, but when you add a little bit of pepper into it, and then you add a few other ingredients in it, you can multiply the benefits of turmeric by 2,000 times. So everybody here, you've been to those shows and the places, and there's someone out there saying, hey, have my super turmeric. They're probably all pretty good. I don't know them all, there are dozens of them, but make sure you get onto a turmeric cocktail. I have it every day. Do I sell it? No. Do I use it? Yes. And then finally, your gut. Oops. Your gut inflammation, your gut is the cornerstone, so hence why we're doing that presentation on it. We've got nutrient-dense foods. Look at the food and go, do you have nutrients in it? Hold that apple up and say, do you have nutrients in it? And then hold up that sticky scroll or whatever you call it and go, do you have nutrients? And it says no, but you go, yes, it does. I want it. It's not about not having it, it's just about making some positive choices in there too. It's about getting some balance on there and then further and adding in those positive choices into your life. That's what we make back home. When the kids come home from school, the grandkids come home from school. They're our smoothie. That red one there is our blood pressure smoothie. That one actually, we've taught thousands and thousands of people around Australia and overseas as well. And how fantastic it is. It's got almonds in it, it's got beetroot in it, it's got coconut water in it, it tastes delicious. And that helps lower blood pressure. And then finally, all the lifestyle factors too, which I'm not going to go into because we know those. And sleep is by far, sleep is one of the major predictors, or poor sleep is one of the major predictors of Alzheimer's. By the way, sugar consumption affects sleep. Diabetes 2 affects sleep, and hence why they're all linked together as well. And here's a study that was done back in 1991 where they grabbed a group of people who had diabetes type 2 and they put them in a pilot program. It wasn't a very good one, but it worked, it was effective. And they found even 5 years later, they were no longer diabetic. They had all of their conditions had been, 50% of them had disappeared as a result of just taking on really simple lifestyle programs. We now, since 91, 30 years ago, we now know so much more that you can speed that up and make it effective. You can reverse these conditions. It's a choice. And the choice is spending a bit of time every single day learning about it. Every single day. There is nothing more important than your health. Nothing. Nothing. It's not the grandkids, because you need your health to look after the grandkids. It's not the kids, it's not the finances, it's not the house even. Because if you get sick, you're willing to sell the house, the car, and even the grandkids, right? As a result of it. So we move on. We know we can do it. And I put this one up at everyone because everyone has that question. Can I have a glass of red wine? Red wine actually has, you ready? Something that's called resveratrol. Resveratrol is a potent antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-acidosis. But you have to have 300 glasses. You have to have 300 glasses to get a daily dose. Yeah, and after about the first 30, you're dead. So it's not going to work. But here's another one, you ready? I come across this in other research. Hops have an ingredient in it called prenylneriginin, and it is great for bone density. But only 1 glass. How's that one? But should I be telling you that? No. You just stick to your red wine. And the next 3 talks are gut health tomorrow. I don't know what time or what place. It'll just put it up and advertise it. Please come along, share it with your friends, bring some more. see if we can get people hanging from the rafters here. Then we've got 5 steps to increase your energy and as you age and your pain, and 7 secrets to permanent weight loss on the last day, even on a cruise ship. So that's it. Now, we do have some books, by the way. We do have information. We've got these 3 books, which is our basically the 6-week healthy eating planner, a strategy to be able to eat healthily. That is the book that everyone says, thank you very much, I've adopted that, and hey, I've got more energy, lost weight, because it's the anti-inflammatory, anti-oxidative, and it's just about putting it in recipes, and it's available in the shop right beside the alcohol stand. The wine stand. And then we've got Ready, Set, Gut Health, which is a book all about how to heal your gut. And we do need to heal it. And again, it's got the recipes, it's got the formulas, it's got the strategies, it's got all of the things. And then finally, this book here, Gut Secrets, is available in the shop as well. And that's the science behind gut health. Now, the great thing is these books are normally available at $30 each. And if you go to the shop, they're available for $30 each. 3 for $90. So bargain at the shop. We do have a couple of other books. We've only got a couple of these ones, but if you are interested in one of these 2, buy a book from the shop and you can swap me for these ones. I can only put 3 in the shop. So I'll bring these to the next talk along beforehand. And if you do want to swap one, Overcoming Illness, which is the science behind everything I've told you right now, and this one, Unlock Your Genes for Weight Loss, which I'm sure will sell out before the last talk we do. And finally, I've got about 30 free samples of K fibre, if anyone would like one little satchel of K fibre. And the